This screencast is going to take a look at some basic formulas that you can do in Google Sheets. There are lots of formulas, but this one's going to go over some of the basic statistic formulas that you might use. And so there are three that we're going to talk about for this one. The first one is going to be sum, or total, adding up the numbers of a certain column. And the other one that we'll take a look at will be the average. So let's take a look at the first one, the sum. The sum is the sum total of your data. So for example, I want to find out what the total amount of rainfall was from 2000 to 2017. Now, I could do this on a calculator, and I can go through and enter each one of these numbers into a calculator and eventually get to that total, or that sum total. But since I'm in a spreadsheet, I can have the spreadsheet do it. Because right now you see a data set of 18 numbers, but what if I had a data set of 100 or 1,000 or more numbers? That's a lot of data to input into a calculator. So I can use the power of the spreadsheet to do this for me. So in order to figure out the sum total, I want to put a formula in to have the spreadsheet calculate that for me. So in order to start formulas, the first thing that you need to do is hit the equal sign. Once you hit the equal sign, then we need to go ahead and type in the formula. In this case, I want sum. Now you notice I put it in capital letters. Okay? And then I want to select the data that I want to total up. And so this is where I then put in an open parentheses. So you saw that question mark, which pretty much is asking me, well, what data do you want? So then I'm going to go over here, click, and then select all the data that I want. And so I want all that data there. And then once I've selected that, then I'm going to hit return. And then the formula calculated the sum total of the rainfall in inches from 2000 to 2017. Okay? So that's one way to go through and use formulas to figure out some information of our data. You can do that by hitting the equal sign, or there's another way you can do it. If you go up here, because now we're going to look at the average. Okay, so we want to figure out the average of this data. So if I go up here to insert, I can go down to this function right here, and that gives me a submenu that takes a look at certain data points. Average is one of them, but it also takes a look, for example, like the minimum or the maximum of my data. Perhaps I want to know that. But in this case, we were looking for the average, and so I can go through and select average. And then in the parentheses, I need to put in the data range, or the data that I want to calculate the average of. So I can go back again, select the data that I want, and I'm going to select all this data right here, and then hit enter, and there's my number. The average number is 8.7, well, we can round that off to 79. And so that's the average rainfall from 2000 to 2017. Now, in these formulas, there's lots and lots and lots of them. And so you can look at your data in a whole bunch of different ways. And so we can go down to this function. And if we go down to more, it'll show us in the help of Google Sheets, the help section, all the different formulas that exist to take a look at our data. And as you notice, there's lots and lots and lots of formulas that we can use. Spreadsheets are a powerful tool, and there's a lot of things that are involved in it. But what I wanted to show you is not all the craziness that exists. I wanted to show you some of the simple things that you might use in your basic statistics for the data that you have for your class. So that was just a quick look at some of the formulas that can be used in Google Sheets.